All right. Welcome, everyone. This afternoon is the 2023 EHHD 3-minute thesis finalist competition. This is our third competition in the college, and every year it's been fantastic. I've seen the competitors for today, and I think this year will be just as good, if not better, than any other. Before we get started with the nuts and bolts of what the competition is and how it works and the fabulous presentations, I wanted to invite Dean Tricia Seifert to say a little welcome to everyone regarding the competition.
Well, it's really an honor to be here and to see you all come out to support, hopefully your friends and colleagues, to do something that's really difficult. If you think taking your thesis and fitting it into 180 seconds is a walk in the park, I invite you to do this next year. Because I tried doing it myself, and I went 4 minutes and a few extra seconds. So congratulations for everyone who's here today as a finalist. It's really remarkable to take your work and to be so succinct and tell us everything that we need to know in 180 seconds. I can't wait to learn from you. I'm with you, Becky Stanton. This is the best way to cram in learning and learn all sorts of new things in a short period of time. So I think we're in for a treat today. Thanks again for coming out, and thank you, Mary, and all of those who are part of the organization team.
And that was under 3 minutes. Well done, Dean Seifert. This is very difficult, and for a variety of reasons I think this is a great event. One is that we get very siloed, and we think about what we do only and don't get to see what others do. And so this is for our entire college. I should note that our winner and our runner-up will go to a university-wide event, the second annual university-wide event, which will have 4 of MSU's colleges participating. So that's very exciting. It represents our college, and I'd hope that people will all go and puff up and be all proud and cheer on our winners from our college. But really, these are all fantastic presentations. There's another thing that I try to impart on at least my students, which I'm not sure how successful I am at that, but if you think about where the magic is in education and learning, the quick and easy answer is if you're in your comfort zone, you're not getting it. You got to get out of that comfort zone and push yourself and try new challenges and do different things. And this is totally one of those things. So one thing I am just super pleased with all the people that stepped up and said, I can do this. I'm going to take on that challenge because that's where the magic is. And so let me tell you about the competition. So the overview, this started at the University of Queensland. It's a trademarked event. That's why the materials look as they do. Let's see if I can get this. But it's really to think about a way of communicating what you do very succinctly for a general audience in a way that's compelling and really generates enthusiasm for your work. That's the essential overview. Okay, so the rules. I won't go through these in detail, but each person has 3 minutes, 3 minutes only. They get 1 slide, and it must be a static slide. There can't be any video. And I hope the competitors were aware of this rule, but there's no singing, no dancing, no visual aids of any kind allowed. Bad things will happen if you try to game the system with not just speaking. And there are some other things, so props and things like that are not allowed. What we're looking for, all of you get to be judges. There will be a winner and a runner-up selected by our judges, and then a People's Choice Award, so we handed out the ballots for that, so each of you get to vote for that. And this is what you should be looking for. Basically, you're thinking about comprehension and content versus engagement and communication. So there's sort of substance and the excitement that it drives. Are they clear? Was it compelling? Did you understand? Was it words that that you understood? That is not jargon that's specifically for an area of study and that none of the rest of us understand and things like that. So we're just looking to see who can do that the best. And I think you'll see because I've seen the practice videos or the submission videos for all of these, that they're very good, and all of them do this. So it's a tough choice. Good on you if you can separate. Okay, we have prizes. The winner will get a $250 gift card. Runner-up and People's Choice get $100 gift cards, and we have prizes for everyone because it is amazing, and we want to appreciate everyone who was willing to step forward and give it a go. I also want to thank our judging panel and introduce them. The judges, 3 judges, and they will hide at the end of the competition. There'll be a little bit of break. You can refill your snacks and drinks, and they'll talk together to pick their winner. But the judges are from the MSU Library, Dr. Marianne Hansen. From the College of Nursing, Associate Dean of Research, Molly Secor, over here. And from the Center for Faculty Excellence, Dr. Nika Stoop, here. So none of the judges are from our college, and they have no connection to the students who are presenting. We have a good unbiased judging panel. And thank you all very much. We couldn't do the competition without you. So, with that, what will happen, each presenter will have their 3 minutes. The clock will start when they start presenting, when they start speaking. And after they finish, we'll give a brief pause for the judges to take a few notes and do that and get the next person up here. And then we'll move right on to the next person. We'll get our 5, and then we'll start the voting. Any questions? There are no questions for the presenters, but when we let the judges go off in the corner, if you have questions, there's a little bit of time that we can talk with those presenters and learn more about their presentations if you're interested. So, our first presenter is Kazi Faria Islam, and the title of her presentation is Assessing Suicidal Behavior and Communities' Perspectives on the Risk and Protective Factors Related to Suicide Among the Workforce in Big Sky, Montana, a cross-sectional study.
Hello, everyone. So the purpose of my research is to assess the suicidal behavior among the workforce in Big Sky, Montana, and also to know what community perceives in terms of risk and protective factors related to suicide. But before we go there, raise your hands if you have been ever to Big Sky before. Great, a lot of us. But for those who have not been to Big Sky, it's a resort community south of Bozeman. And if you take a look at the beautiful picture of Big Sky over there, it seems like a paradise to live in, right? But the reality of living here has a darker side to it. Big Sky is a home of a huge number of seasonal workforce like the safety officer, the ski patrol officer, or officer related to food and safety management. But behind this scenic beauty, they have a huge disparity of finances and wealth among those workforce. And if we talk about their living conditions, it's even worse. Because they have to share the congested living in the employee housing with roommates having different living, social, and sleeping habits, and overall the lack of very safe space. And also Big Sky has a huge culture of alcohol and substance abuse. And for the workforce working in such high elevation and socially excluded places have a huge toll on their depression and mental health illness. But despite such drastic behavioral and mental health issues over there, they have a very limited, affordable, and accessible mental health services to support them over there. And all of those factors cumulatively affect their mental health and well-being and quality of living, and also act as a predictor of suicidal behavior eventually. But that's not all bad news. The good news is Yellowstone Community Club Foundation, in partnership with Montana State University, has initiated a need assessment workforce survey for the workforce in 2022, so that they can get to know a clear picture of what the workforce needs, and they can plan actions to support them and help them. And my PhD research project will utilize a section of the data generated through this survey that will thoroughly assess the suicidal behavior among those workforce using a 3-item measuring scale from the concise health risk tracking self-reporting scale. And we would also use the findings of focus group discussion that will not only talk about the challenges they have in their community, but also what strengths do they have in order to make it a thriving one. And from the result of this study will help us guided, targeted intervention that is culturally and socially grounded on care and healing. Now we know that a lot of work that needs to be done before we can expect any kind of changes in the suicide rate, like advocacy and policy debrief among the stakeholders, the professionals and the authorities over Big Sky. But let me conclude with a hope that from this study that will help us create a safe and supportive environment for the employees and initiate meaningful tasks and conversation on mental health and well-being in Big Sky. Thank you for listening.
So we're going to just give our judges a few moments to take a few notes before we move on to the next presentation. Okay, ready for our next presenter. Our next presenter is Isaac Copeland, and the title of his presentation is Stresses in the Femur During Reactive Balance Training.
So, as we age and grow older, we know that a few things happen. We see a decrease in our muscle mass and corresponding strength. We see a decrease in our ability to effectively and efficiently coordinate complex, rapid movements. And we also see a decrease in our bone strength due to a decrease in the density of our bones. These factors lead us to, one, older adults are at a much greater risk of experiencing a fall as a result of a trip or loss of balance. And two, as a result of these falls, we are much more likely to see injuries from impact, such as a broken hip. Now, reactive balance training is a method of training and trying to prevent these falls, where instead of just following basic physical guidelines, such as walking, a very specific stimulus is applied, that being a forced loss of balance to a participant. This can be done in many ways, one of which is with a treadmill, which rapidly and unexpectedly accelerates underneath a participant, or something as simple as a physical therapist leaning against a physical therapist who suddenly releases you. When we look at these movements, we see a rapid dynamic step, which results in very high forces going throughout our lower extremities. If we zoom in and look specifically at the hip, we see that there are large magnitudes of forces, which when compared to bench tests and studies looking at the structural strength of the femur, often result in fracture. Now, the orientation of the forces during these sorts of structural tests are often perpendicular to the long axis of the bone, which is not how the force is experienced during these movements. So to study this and see if this reactive balance training is safe to apply to older adults, I took the magnitudes of the forces and the directions that they occur during these movements and applied these to a numerical model which estimates the stress distributions throughout the femur. The results of this show that the maximum tensile stresses experienced by the femur during these kinds of dynamic movements are well below a threshold for potential fracture for both single leg recoveries as well as multiple step recoveries. This leads to the conclusion that reactive balance training is not only an effective tool to train older adults to recover from a loss of balance, but it is also likely a safe tool that can be prescribed with confidence to older adults with no significant bone pathologies.
And we'll give the judges a little time. Our third presenter will be Chidimma Ifeh. She is presenting Baobab Yogurt, a nutritious blend of Western technology and indigenous knowledge.
Indigenous people makes us 5% of the global population, but represent 15% of the extreme poor. What can I do as a sustainable food system student to help combat poverty in developing countries? That is where my research here in Montana State University plays a huge role. The image on the left-hand side is a picture I took of a farmer milking his cow in Senegal. He keeps this milk overnight to ferment for 12 hours, and he tries to sell it in the market the next day. What happens when he makes no sales? Food waste. The milk gets spoiled and is disposed of. The Food Product Development Lab has been collaborating with smallholder women farmers since 2018 to create food product. This collaboration has led to the commitment of African Development Bank to build the first ever food processing plant in the women village. According to the survey I carried out with the women farmers in September 2022, the result shows that they have cereal grains in abundance and they have baobab in large quantity. Do you know that baobab has 10 times the vitamin C content of orange? Yes, it does. Baobab is a fruit indigenous to the people of Senegal, and it is also known as the magic tree of Africa. In my research, also from the survey, I found out that the women, they have this idea. They have the indigenous knowledge of what they want to do, but they lack the technology to convert this idea into a food product. In the lab, I've been carrying out different trials and formulation to create a recipe for this product. That is where I came up with Baobab Yogurt, a nutritious blend of Western technology and indigenous knowledge. According to Food and Agriculture Organization, 7.5% of Senegalese people lack access to a nutritious food to keep a healthy life. I've been able to travel to Senegal 2 months ago to carry out this trial with the women farmers and to carry out focus group discussion with them. I found out that they were not carrying out pasteurization. Pasteurization is a process where milk is heated to 90 degrees Celsius for 5 minutes. It kills the harmful microorganism in the milk, and it also extends the shelf life. The women farmers were also trained on how to carry out controlled fermentation, which is a process where yogurt starter culture is being used. The yogurt starter culture contains lactic acid bacteria that is healthy for the human gut. This research not only solves the problem of food waste, it also solves the problem of utilizing underutilized crop, such as sorghum, which has high iron content, baobab, which has high vitamin C content, and milk, which has high calcium content. They will be able to produce this product in the food processing plant. They will be able to sell it to the villages and to the school children to help them have access to a nutritious food product. This research is changing the life of the smallholder women farmers because they will not only sell this product in the market, they will be also able to generate income to increase their livelihood. As you can see, science and technology is changing the life of smallholder women farmers. Thank you.
And a few minutes for the judges. Okay, our next presenter, our fourth presenter, is Leah Klein, and she is presenting Manipulating Implement Weight to Increase Performance.
The event of shot put was first contested in the ancient Olympic Games back in ancient Greece. Its evolution to modern times has been paired with an increase in research regarding sports science and biomechanics with the overall goal of learning how to throw heavy things further. One area of increasing research is that of post-activation potentiation. This phenomenon states that a muscle's contractile history can enhance its subsequent force production. Basically, by producing large muscular contraction, you can then increase force production in a following activity. Previous research on post-activation and shot putting shows that by doing a 20-meter sprint or a 3-repetition max bench press during warm-ups can significantly improve performance of the following shot put throws. However, if you've ever been to a track meet, you know that these stimuli are not feasible to perform in the organized chaos. At most meets, you can't set up a weightlifting rack in the middle of the infield. However, there are still some stimuli that you can use to enhance performance via post-activation. Previous research has shown that using an overweight implement in the weight throw and over-the-head shot putting shows increased performance in the following throws. However, research has yet to evaluate overweight implements' impact on performance in the rotational shot put throw. That's where this study comes into play. The goal of this study was to evaluate how overweight and underweight warm-up throws impact performance, force development, and critical factors of technique in the rotational shot put. This study consisted of 10 collegiate rotational shot putters, 6 males and 4 females. Athletes completed 3 non-consecutive days of data collection, each day consisting of 3 warm-up throws followed by 6 competition-style throws. Warm-up throws were split into 3 different conditions, either a competition weight or baseline, overweight, or underweight conditions. Women warmed up with weights from heavy to light that consisted of a 4.5 3-kilogram, 4-kilogram, and 3-kilogram shot put, whereas men threw a 8.16, 7.26, and 6.35 kilogram shot put. Specific kinematic factors of technique were recorded using a wearable IMU suit, and we built an instrumented shot put ring with force plates to get ground reaction forces of each throw. Results of this study show that after throwing a heavy implement in warm-ups, following competition-style throws were significantly improved compared to baseline. The use of overweight implements during warm-ups improved performance, however, it had no effect on kinematic or ground reaction forces. More research is still needed to further uncover these mechanisms behind these improvements. However, the major takeaway from this study is that warming up with a heavy implement could be one way for coaches and athletes to improve performance. So after thousands of years since the ancient Greek times, we have seen the way to improve throwing performance is to throw heavier things during warm-ups. Thank you.
Judges, time for you. All right, we're ready for our final presentation. Ayomide Foluso will present Impact of Kinship Caregivers' Characteristics on the Kinship Navigator Program Outcomes.
Around 2.7 million children in the United States are cared for by kinship caregivers. Kinship care refers to the care of a child by a relative, tribe member, or fictive kin when the biological parent is unable to provide care. The pictures in the slides are examples of kinship caregivers providing care. Kinship care can be due to a variety of reasons, including a report of child abuse or neglect, substance use disorder, incarceration, or death of a parent. Kinship placements are now preferred over the traditional non-relative foster placement because it preserves cultural identity and improves behavioral outcomes of the children. As a part of the Federal Families First Prevention Act, the Kinship Navigator programs were developed. The Montana Kinship Navigator program, founded in 2002, helps connect kinship families to local and federal resources like concrete goods, financial aid, and parenting education. Now, kinship caregivers are more likely older, less educated, and from lower socioeconomic status. Desirable outcomes of the program include child stability, child safety, child permanence, improved caregiver and child well-being. Evidence suggests that the characteristics of the family and the caregiver often impact the program outcomes. Consequently, my research question is, what is the relationship between kinship caregiver characteristics and program outcomes? The flowchart at the bottom of the slide represents a snapshot of the process. Study participants are recruited by referral from community partners, child and family services, or self. Then the Kinship Navigator determines treatment eligibility. There are 2 types of treatment. We have the intervention services called enhanced case management, and the control services called information and referral only. After the treatment, the surveys are distributed, and qualitative and quantitative analysis methods are used to compare the kinship caregiver characteristics to program outcomes. The results from this would help inform programming and support policy decisions to help meet kinship family needs, leading to strengthened family and sibling connections, strengthened placements, future directions for research. Thank you.
All right, there you have it. Those are all fabulous. I told you there would be. Judges have a few minutes, and you can take your ballots, take your scoring sheets, and find your place. Everyone else, refill your plates, especially if you're one of the presenters, and you probably now might be interested in having snacks when you weren't beforehand. But each of you has a People's Choice ballot. Okay, we have decisions. First of all, I thought everyone did well, and I would hope that we could just give everyone one global round of applause before we start doing winners. 3-minute thesis is quite the challenge and difficult to do. So the People's Choice Award for the 2023 goes to Leah Klein.
So I need to have you sign a form, but I need you to grab it. Okay. But also, I'll just be back here.
The runner-up for 2023 is Kazi Faria Islam. And the 2023 winner of the winner of the Judges Award is Chidimma Ifeh. Excuse me. Well done, Chidimma. Well done, all of you. So we'll be sending Chidimma and Kazi to the university's 3-minute thesis. I hope you'll all be there. I'm afraid we're going to have to wait for an email because I can't remember when it is. I should have brought that information. I realize that now. But anyway, it's coming up. It's in the next few weeks. It's obviously, I think it's early April. But anyway, thanks again to everyone for coming. Thank you, Becky Stanton, for all of the organizational work that she did. All of the people that entered, I have complete respect for you standing up and saying, I'm going to do a 3-minute thesis, and then pulling it off. And like Tricia said, if you haven't tried that, give it a try. It's something to do. But anyway, I think the research that was shown today is fabulous, and I hope you'll join us again in 2024. Thank you.